So today we just had the union budget. Broadly, the budget was in line with expectation. The focus on fiscal consolidation has stayed. The key positive from the budget was some support for middle class consumption. So, under the new tax regime, the exemption limit has been increased to 12 lakhs. And obviously, there's been some tweaks in the different tax slabs as well. So if you're under the new tax regime, I think the middle class will benefit, and even if you're at an income of about 50 lakhs, you could potentially see tax benefits of around a little over a lakh in a year. So I think that is the key positive that has come out from the budget. These tax measures, the cut in income taxes, will result in a tax revenue loss of around 1 lakh crore, which potentially the government is assuming that they could make good through higher non-tax revenues. So in FY25, we had high dividends from the RBI. The government continues to believe that they will likely get high dividends from the RBI even in FY26. So the dividends from the RBI were around 2.1 lakh crore. They are probably assuming a similar run rate going into FY26 as well. So the fiscal deficit for FY25 has been pegged at 4.8% versus the earlier estimate of 4.9%. And for FY26, the fiscal deficit is pegged at 4.4% versus the earlier estimate of around 4.5%. Over the last few years, we've seen a clear capex push by the government. Now the capex push is actually moderated. In FY25, we will end up with the capex growth of just 7%, and FY26, the government is now expecting only 10% capex growth. So to that extent, revenue and capital expenditure are getting evened out to some extent. But I think the offset would be the income tax cut, which would support consumption, particularly at the lower income tax levels. In other measures, there has been a push for MSMEs, deregulation, increasing credit flow to the MSMEs. So the credit guarantees have been extended for MSMEs. The turnover limit for classification of MSMEs have also been extended. So I think the broad push going forward will be on MSMEs. There's also been some increase in import duties and reduction in import duties for production of capital goods. For example, for lithium-ion batteries, on flat panel TVs, the import duties have been increased. So all of this has basically been done to increase domestic production of electronics, of lithium-ion batteries, and all of those, basically to encourage domestic production of the electronic sector, which is a key focus, which has been a key focus for the government and will continue to remain a key focus for the government going forward as well. And even the economic survey yesterday talked about increasing domestic investments in sectors like clean tech, electronic vehicles, etc. And then the budget has also kind of alluded to that. So there's also been focus on domestic manufacturing in sectors like footwear and toys. So increasing manufacturing base in India remains a key theme for this government, and I think that is something that will sustain. In agriculture, the key highlight for us was the increase in the limit under the Kisan Credit Card scheme from 3 lakhs to around 5 lakhs. So that will benefit farmers, and they will get interest loans at a lower interest rate up to 5 lakhs. So broadly, that kind of sums up the measures in the government, in the budget that have been announced by the government. The key measure, as I highlighted earlier, was the cut in income taxes, particularly for those those with incomes up to 12 lakhs, and the tweaks in the tax bracket, which we think will support consumption to some extent. Drawing from this, since there's been no big bang stimulus in this budget, the government stays on the path of fiscal consolidation. Now, we think the onus will be on the RBI. The RBI last week announced a slew of liquidity measures, both through OMOs, through long-term repo options, and through USD INR buyback swaps. So we think now probably the stage is set for a rate cut in the February policy, given that domestically growth is slowing, your credit growth is slowing, so the onus will largely be on monetary policy. There have been some concerns whether rupee depreciation will act as a deterrent from RBI cutting rates, but we don't think that will be the case. If you see most emerging market currencies, barring the Indian rupee and yuan, have depreciated quite significantly, anywhere between 15 to 20% in 2024. So it is only but natural that the rupee also should see some depreciation, and given the dollar has also gone up quite significantly, just to retain a competitiveness. So I think the RBI will be comfortable with a gradually depreciating rupee, and they will cut interest rates at the Fed policy.